Good morning everyone. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GKToday Academy app and you can attempt the quiz in this app and you can read detailed explanation. For regular updates, please join our Telegram channel. The link is given in the description box. We have started a new channel, Civils Academy. Subscribe to it if you find it relevant. Now before we start, I have to discuss few things. On regular basis, a lot of students comment that is it enough for this exam or for that exam? See, if current affairs are part of the syllabus of your target exam, then obviously all the important events of national significance are potential questions for your exam. And in this series, we try to cover each and every important event. Second thing is that how many sources should be followed. See, if you can revise 20 sources, please follow. But that's not humanly possible. So please make sure that you fix your sources to 1 or 2 and you follow them seriously. Revise the same sources. A lot of students follow different shows every day and then at the end of the month they don't even know what they have studied in current affairs even though they devoted time every day. So please make sure that you lock your sources and you follow them religiously. Now enough of Gyan, let's start. Which new definition was included in the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act of 2019? So, the aggregators definition was included in the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act of 2019. Why this was done? To regulate the shared mobility services. So, what is the meaning of this term aggregators? So, these are the shared mobility services. For example, Ola, Uber. So, these cab services are aggregators. Recently, this Ola was also in news as London Public Transport Authority revoked the license of Ola. Recently, London was also in news as UK is going to establish CTOC in London. What is CTOC? It is Counter Terrorism Operations Center. So now cab aggregators will be regulated by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Which country is set to impose a new competition regime next year to curb the dominance of Google and Facebook? So this was decided by UK. To be specific, it was decided by CMA. What is CMA? It is Competition and Markets Authority of UK. So it is the competition regulator in UK, like we have CCI, that is Competition Commission of India. Now recently UK was also in news as it decided to ban Huawei 5G kit installation. That means no new kits from Huawei will be installed from September 2021. Huawei is a Chinese company. In fact, UK also proposed D10 alliance, that is group of 10 democracies, to avoid dependency on Huawei company for 5G technology. Recently, these companies, that is Google, Facebook, were also in news because of GAFA. What is GAFA? It is Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. So it was a tax, that is GAFA tax. It was a tax proposed by France on these companies. However, since these companies were from USA, so USA proposed that France should not impose this tax, and in return of that, USA offered tax benefit to the French products. Now, USA pulled out of those negotiations and therefore France is considering to impose this GAFA tax again. GAFA stands for Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. Chandrabhaga Beach, which is the venue of International Sand Art Festival, is located in which state? So this beach is in Odisha and this is the location of Sand Art Festival. Odisha was also in news because of Konark Festival and this is organized in the backdrop of Sun Temple in Konark. Now this Chandrabhaga Beach was the first beach in Asia to get Blue Flag certification. Now this Blue Flag certification was also in news because recently, India became the first country in the world to receive Blue Flag certification for 8 beaches in one single attempt. So, India became the first such country to get the certification for 8 beaches in the single attempt. Dilli Chalo is the name of protest being held by which category of people in India? So, it is related to farmers' protest, as farmers are protesting against the agriculture laws. In this context, there was one place which was in news and it is Nirankari ground. So it is a place of protesters and this is in Delhi. Now, why farmers are protesting? They fear that the new laws if implemented, will dismantle the MSP, that is minimum support price. Recently, Kerala became the first state in our country to provide MSP, that means to fix the MSP for vegetables. Kerala was also in news as recently it announced 2-day mourning to mark respect for the Diego Maradona. He was well-known footballer. He passed away recently. He was from Argentina. Which state debarred its MLA, that is Member of Legislative Assembly, and former IPS officer Lal Dhuma from its state assembly? So, right answer is Mizoram. Recently, he was debarred from the State Assembly of Mizoram. Why this was done? So, he was elected as independent candidate. However, he declared himself as a representative of ZPM. ZPM is the name of political party. It stands for Joram People's Movement. So, he was elected as independent and he declared himself as a representative of ZPM. And that is why he was debarred under Anti-Defection Law. Now, this Anti-Defection Law is related to 10th schedule. Please note that in 1988, he was the first member of parliament, that is MP, to have been disqualified from Lok Sabha under this Anti-Defection Law. Now he has been debarred from being the MLA. Which country has approved 2 anti-rape ordinances which include chemical castration of rapists? So this was done by Pakistan. Prime Minister of Pakistan is Imran Khan. So these ordinances contains the provisions for special court, special prosecutors and in-camera trials. Recently Pakistan was also in news because of FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force. The headquarters of FATF is in OECD Secretariat. OECD stands for Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. It is in Paris in France. OECD conduct PISA, that is Program for International Student Assessment. And this time India is going to participate in this event. Which region of India is the most polluted in the country as per a recent study by CPCB and IIT Delhi? So it is Indo-Gangetic Plain. Recently, a study was conducted by CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, and IIT Delhi. The CPCB is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So as per this study, in terms of 2.5 ppm level, Indo-Gangetic Plain is the most polluted. The study also found that air pollution in rural areas is increasing similar to in urban areas. So obviously that is something which is very serious. Now, recently Environment Ministry was also in news because of AIPA. What is AIPA? It is Apex Committee for Implementation of Paris Agreement. So recently government decided to constitute this Apex Committee. Why this committee was constituted? To ensure the proper implementation of Paris Agreement. And this has been constituted as per the provisions of EPA 1986, that is Environment Protection Act of 1986. And Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change will be the chairperson of this Apex Committee. India signed an agreement for the cooperation in the field of hydrography with which country? So this country is Vietnam. And this agreement was signed during the recent conference held between India's Defense Minister and Vietnam's Defense Minister. Now the capital of Vietnam is Hanoi. Recently, Hanoi Declaration was in news. It is related to East Asia Summit. So after the summit, this Hanoi Declaration was adopted. And from Indian side, our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar participated. Please remember that for this year, Vietnam is the chair of ASEAN. And ASEAN was formed through Bangkok Declaration. ASEAN is a group of 10 countries. ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So these 10 countries are BPLTV, MMICS. Recently, ASEAN plus 5 countries signed RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. China is a member of this RCEP and India decided to stay away from this grouping. Which organization released guidelines on physical activity and sedentary behavior? So this was recently released by WHO. As per this recent guidelines, at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to vigorous aerobic activity per week is recommended for all adults. The problem is that because of our present day lifestyle, most of the time we don't even move, and that can have harmful impact on our body. So that's why WHO released these new guidelines. Recently, WHO was in news because USA left WHO. USA was also in news as it left Paris deal. It was also in news because of JCPOA, that is Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So it is Iran nuclear deal. Apart from that, recently USA was in news because of CEIEC. What is CEIEC? It is China National Electronics Import and Export Cooperation. So recently USA decided to impose sanctions on this Chinese company. Recently China was also in news because of Power China. So this is another Chinese company. Why it was in news? Because recently it signed a cooperation agreement with TAR, that is Tibet Autonomous Region. Why this agreement was signed? To construct first downstream dam on Brahmaputra River. So this Brahmaputra River is known as Yarlung in Tibet. India has slashed the import tax for which commodity from 37.5 to 27.5. So this is crude palm oil. Why this was done? This was done to reduce the food inflation. So how reduction in import tax will reduce food inflation? See, when we import this palm oil, this much tax is imposed by the government. So obviously, more the tax, higher the cost, and therefore the entire cost will increase. Please note that India is the world's largest importer of palm oil. Recently, Manipur government launched oil palm project. Indonesia and Malaysia are the world's largest producer of palm oil. Which city has become the world's most air-connected city as per AITA, that is International Air Transport Association? So it is Shanghai. Previously it was London, but now it is Shanghai. It is in China. Now what is this AITA? It is International Air Transport Association. The headquarters is in Montreal in Canada, and it was established in 1945. So these were the most important questions. Now we are going to cover important news. So first is A.R. Rahman. Recently he was appointed as the ambassador for BAFTA Breakthrough India. So what is BAFTA? It is British Academy of Film and Television Arts. So he has been appointed as ambassador for BAFTA Breakthrough India. Next is Papa Bouba Diop. So he was well-known footballer from Senegal. He passed away recently. Next is Dave Prowse. So he was British weightlifter turned actor. He also passed away recently. He was quite popular for his role of Darth Vader in Star Wars. Next is Virat Kohli. So cricketer Virat Kohli was in news as he became the fastest batsman to reach the milestone of 22,000 international runs. He broke the record of Sachin Tendulkar. Next is Lewis Hamilton. So recently Lewis Hamilton was in news because he won Bahrain Grand Prix. Next is Varsha Joshi. So recently she was in news because she has been appointed as the new chairperson of NDDB, that is National Dairy Development Board. Next is Janet Yellen. So recently US President-elect Joe Biden named Janet Yellen as Treasury Secretary, and she is going to be the first woman to hold that position. Apart from that, US President-elect also announced all-women White House communication team. White House is the House of President, like we have Rashtrapati Bhavan. So he appointed Jen Psaki as the White House Press Secretary. Next is Utpal Kumar Singh. So he has been appointed as the new Secretary General of Lok Sabha. He is going to replace Snehlata Srivastava. Now Snehlata Srivastava was the first woman to be appointed as the Secretary General of Lok Sabha. Next is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the trade and development. So this is a report by UNCTAD. What is UNCTAD? It is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Next is the state of food and agriculture. So this is a report by FAO, that is Food and Agriculture Organization. The headquarters of FAO is in Rome in Italy. Next is Suryadhar Lake. So recently Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat inaugurated this Suryadhar Lake in Dehradun in Uttarakhand. Next is SV Ranganath Task Force. So this is related to Karnataka. This task force was constituted to suggest a roadmap to implement the new education policy. Recently this task force was in news because it submitted the report to the Karnataka government. Next is Adi Mahotsav. So it is a festival of tribes. Recently Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda inaugurated this in virtual mode, and this is being organized by TriFund. Next is coronavirus vaccine development. So recently Prime Minister visited 3 facilities related to coronavirus vaccine. So these are Zydus Biotech Park, and this is in Ahmedabad. Second one was Bharat Biotech Center. This is in Hyderabad. And third facility was Serum Institute of India. So it is in Pune. Now recently Hyderabad was also in news because of Hetero Biopharma. This is a Hyderabad based entity and it is going to develop Sputnik vaccines in our country. And for that recently it entered into agreement with RDIF, that is Russian Direct Investment Fund. Next is Future of Regional Cooperation in Asia and Pacific. So recently this book was released by ADB, that is Asian Development Bank. Next is World AIDS Day. So it was on 1st of December. The theme was Global Solidarity, Shared Responsibility. 1st of December was also celebrated as BSF Day, that is Border Security Force. So it is under Ministry of Home Affairs. Apart from that, 1st of December was also celebrated as Nagaland Formation Day. And Nagaland was also in news because of Hornbill Festival. And for the first time, this festival is being organized virtually because of this pandemic situation. This Hornbill Festival is considered as the festival of festivals. Apart from that, 30th of November was observed as Day of Remembrance for all victims of chemical warfare. So it is a day for the victims of chemical warfare. On the other hand, 29th of November was observed as the International Day for Solidarity with Palestinian people. So these were the most important events. Thank you, and that's all for the day.